Word had spread across the land. Jesus of Nazareth was healing the sick and teaching with wisdom no one had heard before. Crowds began to follow him everywhere.
Tired from their travels, Jesus and his disciples climbed into a boat, hoping to find a quiet place to rest across the water. But the crowds saw where they were headed. Thousands of men, women, and children began hurrying along the shore to meet them there. When Jesus arrived and saw the enormous crowd, he felt deep compassion for them, like a shepherd looking at sheep without direction.
He began to teach them about the kingdom of God, and he healed those among the crowd who were sick or suffering. The disciples came to Jesus, and they said to him, "Send the crowds away so they can go buy themselves food." But Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." The disciples looked at each other, unsure. The disciples came to Jesus, and they said to him, "Send the crowds away so they can go buy themselves food." But Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." The disciples looked at each other, unsure. But Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." The disciples looked at each other, unsure. One disciple, Andrew, found a boy in the crowd. "He has 5 small loaves and 2 fish, but what good is that among so many?" The boy stepped forward and offered everything he had. It wasn't much, but he gave it freely, without hesitation.
Jesus took the loaves and the fish in his hands. He looked up toward heaven and gave thanks to God for the small gift.
"Blessed are you, O Lord our God." Then something remarkable began. As Jesus broke the bread and handed it to his disciples, it did not run out. Jesus told his disciples to have the people sit down in groups, row after row, across the grassy hillside, thousands all at once.
Everyone ate until they were full. Men, women, and children, thousands of hungry people, were satisfied that evening.
Basket after basket, the disciples carried bread and fish through the crowd. No matter how much they gave away, more remained.
Gather what is left over. When everyone had eaten, Jesus told his disciples to gather what was left over, so that nothing would be wasted.
The disciples filled 12 baskets with the leftovers. More food remained after the meal than they had started with. The people were amazed. Word spread quickly through the crowd. They had witnessed something beyond ordinary understanding that day. Rather than accept the crowd's praise, Jesus quietly withdrew by himself to a mountainside to pray, alone beneath the stars.
5 loaves and 2 fish had fed a multitude. It was a simple lesson. What little we offer, God can multiply beyond measure.